Welcome everyone, 138 MMA here, and I'm so happy to see that you've all decided to tag along for the ride. We're going to break down the TUF 31 cast. In this video, we're going to start with the Bantamweights. We're going to put out another video here shortly, or it might already be out, that breaks down the lightweights. So we're going to go over each of the contestants on the show. I'm going to kind of give you the pros and cons and my similar style of the contestants, and I'll give you kind of an early lean at the end of the video, who I'm leaning towards right now as to who's the likely favorite for me in each weight class. So that's what we're going to cover here in this video. And real quick, go ahead and check me out on Twitter, 138MMA. You can check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/138MMA. But I don't want to spend too much time. Let's just go ahead and get right into breaking down these contestants. First fighter we're going to break down for this video here, we're looking at Fernando Gutierrez. And real quick, I want to shout out, I believe it's Fansided MMA. I don't know the creator there or anything like that, but all I know is that they had some pretty good interviews for mid-season interviews from all the contestants. And I did spend quite a bit of time watching that to kind of get a vibe, maybe get some insight from some of them. So I want to give them a shout out because I'm basically using some of the stuff that they've collected in their interview for this video. So there you go. Check it out if you want to watch the interviews. Anyway, so we're going to break down more about their fights outside of the house because we don't know what's going on there yet. But anyway, the interviews do play some insight, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Now, Fernando Gutierrez, he's a 26-year-old. We might remember him from the Contender Series where he lost to Raul Rosas Jr. In that matchup, he was just kind of outworked on the ground. But he is 5'6" with a 70-inch reach. So I don't know if you noticed, but that's a long reach for a guy that's 5'6" because, what is that, like a 5'10" wingspan? That's pretty big. So Fernando Gutierrez, he's got them long arms. They do help him in the grappling. Could help him in the striking if he cleaned up that a little bit, got a little more polish. But he does have a very high pace when he comes out to a fight. The dude's going to come forward. He's going to put a pace on guys, try to out-grapple them particularly. But he's never out of a fight because this dude is just going to keep going. He's got the dog in him, if you know what I mean. So let's start with the striking real quick. He's a very powerful striker. He launches these big shots. He's got, sizable arms if you look at him. But the problem is he's not super polished, and his striking defense is not so good. There was a fight not that long ago. I believe it was his last LFA fight. I could be wrong. Anyway, the dude gets dropped like 3 or 4 times in the first round because he's just wide open to get hit. But he's very durable because he got dropped 3 or 4 times in the first round and then comes back and wins the fight after just putting the pace on him. But he's using that grappling to do so. There are a lot of grapplers on this season of TUF, but not grapplers in the way that you think of when they're just lay and pray kind of things. There's a lot of very high-level submission experts, and we're looking at one right here. Fernando Gutierrez, he's looking for the submissions. He's very good in the scrambles, and that's how he gets to those positions. But he has a very tight squeeze with pretty much any type of choke. But the rear naked choke seems to be his bread and butter. If he can get on your back, which is a lot of times from a scramble, if he can get on your back, he's looking for that rear naked choke. He's looking to put guys out that way. So that's Fernando Gutierrez in a nutshell. We're not diving too deep here. I just want to give you kind of some base level introduction to them. We can kind of, as the season goes on, maybe reevaluate some of the fighters on the season. And of course, when it gets to the finale, we will be breaking that down with that full card. So let's go to the next fighter. Quick look at Brad Katona. He is 12-2 on the career, 4-1 in the last 5. This dude, he's a weird dude in an interview. Let's put it that way. His interview, the mid-season interview, just kind of odd. So I can imagine when we get to the season, we're going to see some really uncomfortable interactions from Brad Katona. And we did see him on TUF 27, which actually was fantastic for the guy because he's got wins over Kyler Phillips and Bryce Mitchell in exhibition bouts on TUF 27. So, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. And it shows that he's able to perform whilst being in this house, not, having contact with the outside world, all that good stuff. So that's important. Let's cover the basics here. Age, he's 31. So getting up there for a bantamweight, not too bad, but 5'6" with a 64.5-inch reach. So, shorter guy, smaller wingspan, but that wrestling is where he gets it done. He has solid wrestling with constant pressure. Once he gets on a double leg, he's just going to stay on that double leg. He can switch to something else, don't get me wrong, but he likes to just pressure you up against the cage and keep working for it. And once he gets a hold of you, gets you to the ground, that is, he's going to work that control or control you against the cage if he's got to do that. The problem that I see, though, and I guess it's not necessarily a problem because it's worked for him so far. I mean, he's 12-2 on the career, so obviously pretty good. But he'll just kind of wing power shots to get into range, just trying to get in there to get that wrestling going and give you something to think about. And it's worked for him so far. I just don't know how good of a strategy that is long term, but like I said, it's worked so far. I'm not saying it's not working for him. So 12-2 is a good record, 4-1 in the last 5. I believe he's on a 4-fight winning streak. So anyway, coming into the house, Brad Katona, like I said, probably shouldn't have been out of the UFC in the first place. I mean, the dude's only got 2 losses in his career, so it's like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing, but here he is. He's back on after having some pretty good experience on TUF 27. Let me know what you guys think about Brad Katona, and let's go to the next fighter. Carlos Vera next. He's a 35-year-old with a 12-3 MMA record as a pro, 4-1 in the last 5. He is 5'6" with a 69.5-inch reach, which is a longer wingspan for a guy of his height. He is the most loose lip fellow in those interviews that I noticed, but letting some stuff go, spilling some beans, kind of. If you can kind of use some deductive reasoning, you may be able to figure out who's on what team and things like that just through some of the stuff he said in the interview. So that was kind of interesting. But anyway, jiu-jitsu is going to be his main thing. A lot of grapplers on this season, like I said. He does have a very large toolbox, and he's always going to be looking for the submission there. The thing that sets him apart is the kicks at range. He does have very high-impact kicks at range, and they make it so he's either all the way in looking for, getting the fight to the mat with the jiu-jitsu, or he's outside looking for those big kicks. And when he lands those kicks, they can make people kind of want to shoot on him because they want to get inside the kicking range. And when they do that, that's when he can work for that jiu-jitsu. So Carlos Vera, I don't have a ton to say about him. I watched those fights, but like I said, that interview was probably my favorite thing that I saw from Carlos Vera because he's spilling some beans, guys, spilling the beans. All right, let me know what you guys think about Carlos Vera. I would love to hear who you all predict to win this season from the Bantamweights in the comments below on this video, and we'll go ahead and get to that next fighter. Take a quick look at Cody Gibson. He is 19-8 in his career, 4-1 in the last 5. That makes him one of the most experienced members on the cast in this season. He is 35 years old, though, so he's a bit older for the bantamweight division, and he is the tallest bantamweight at 5'10 with a 71-inch reach. There is someone with a longer reach, but he is the tallest. So, as I mentioned, tallest fighter on the season for the bantamweights, but he does use that length very, very well. He has a nice long jab, and he puts it out there, using that length, coming down on people because he's so tall. He's got good teep kicks as well on the feet. However, wrestling is his best asset. So, he is a good wrestler with solid fundamentals. And I think a lot of that comes because in his day job, he is I believe, high school teacher, but also a wrestling coach, a high school wrestling coach. Now, what do high school wrestling coaches often teach? The fundamentals, and they teach them very well. So Cody Gibson does a good job with the fundamentals because he's teaching it every day. Now, sure, he's not, he's wrestling with high school kids, so you're like, yeah, okay, these are professional fighters that he's facing now. The drilling the fundamentals is still important, and that's what he gets in there and does that on a daily basis. So for me, Cody Gibson with that wrestling, that is a big advantage to be able to say that every day during his day job, well, at least during wrestling season, he's getting that. So that's good. Off his back, he can be active as well. But I did see in a couple of his fights that are more high-paced, his cardio does start to fade towards the end of the fight. And I think it might have to do with him being such a large bantamweight. Maybe it's the weight cut. Maybe it's just the fact that he's carrying around so much mass going into a high-paced fight. In the third round, he can start to fade just a bit. But Cody Gibson, like I said, pretty interesting guy on the season, being that he is 5'10" at bantamweight. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you've got winning this season. I would love to hear it, and let's go break down the next fight. Take a quick look at Timor Valley. And hey, if you're enjoying this video, do me a favor and give that like button a little high five for me. I appreciate it so much. Now for Timor Valley, he's 18-3 on the career, so pretty darn good record. 3-1 and a no contest in the last 5. Age 33, so, kind of towards the end of his bantamweight career, but not quite done. So still got maybe a couple years left. 5'6" with a 67-inch reach. Something we've noticed is there's a lot of 30-somethings in this season, but I think it's because they're really going for those, the rookies versus the vets type of thing. That's the theme. So we are going to get some of the 30-some-year-olds. So that's just the way it's going to shake out. For Valiev specifically, he is a very aggressive striker. He comes forward with those kicks, just nasty power on the kicks, but he's got good footwork as well to stay in and out of range, move side to side, things like that. But the grappling is where he gets it done because he's a very high-level grappler. He likes to catch kicks to bring his opponents to the mat, and when he does so, he has some of the most violent ground and pound. And he also has some seriously sick, heavy-duty slams that when he gets a hold of somebody, he'll straight up toss him over his darn head when he gets the chance. So for Timor Valiev, he's basically just that all-action violence style fighter, which is very exciting to watch. When you see a guy like Valiev say, "Oh, I'm from Dagestan" or whatever, he also trains at Tiger Muay Thai now, but he says, "Oh, I'm from Dagestan." You think he's going to come forward, use that same use the grappling pressure, get on top, work guys down like that. he has that ability, but he's definitely more flashy than a lot of the other Dagestan fighters. I think a lot of that comes from training at Tiger Muay Thai. So, that's Timor Valley in a nutshell. Let me know what you guys think. Let's go to the next. We're going to take a quick look at Rico de Souza, I think is how you say it. He's 11-2, 4-1 in the last 5. The guy's 36 years old. So, according to my notes, I believe he is the oldest of the bantamweights. So, 36, getting up there a bit. He is 5'8" with a 74-inch reach, which gives him the longest reach in this season. So, long arms, especially for being a guy that's 5'8", which typically equates to 68 inches. So, that's 6 inches longer than his height. That's pretty impressive. Now, Rico is a good striker, but not in the sense that you think about kind of from a traditional standpoint. He just uses these big, extravagant strikes that end up being pretty effective. What do I mean by that? A lot of large movements, spins and like big, heavy-duty kicks and things like that. But where his best damage is going to come from is the knees. He does have excellent knees in his matchups, whether they come up the middle or, coming off of, a driving knee. You didn't see that because you can't see that low, but, coming forward or up, whatever it's got to do. He does have good knees, and the reach actually helps with that because he's got them long legs, long arms. He's able to get his body where he needs it to land these strikes, whether they're wild and extravagant or if they're a little bit more technical. But the jiu-jitsu he has is offensive pretty much entirely. He has good jiu-jitsu with a large toolbox, but like I said, it's offensive. From defensive, he can be controlled by wrestlers, and that's not super good because he's on a season with a lot of wrestlers. So for Rico here, I think he can cause a lot of problems for guys with that big striking, and if he can use that striking to set up the jiu-jitsu offensively, he'd be in a pretty good spot. But like I said, there's a lot of wrestlers on this season, so we're going to see how that shakes out for him. Let me know if you think Rico's got a shot on this season, and I will see you in the next fighter breakdown. Look at Hunter Azure. Now, for Azure, 10-3 in his career. He is 2-3 in his last 5, which is the lowest 5 on in for any of the bantamweights this season. But, good level of competition. A lot of fans are going to be familiar with Hunter Azure as he's recently been in the UFC not that long ago. He is 31, 5'8", with a 69-inch reach. He is a wrestler by trade. That's his best bet to win in most of his matchups, is mixing in his wrestling. And I'm going to point out my favorite thing about Hunter Azure right out of the get-go. He just constantly is mixing 1-2s and takedown attempts, 1-2s and takedown attempts, because that's going to get his opponents wondering strikes or takedowns, what's coming, and he's just going to kind of do that the entire time he's on offense, basically. So, good wrestling. He's very good in the scramble, and the thing I like, once he does get the fight to the mat, he's not afraid to posture up and start landing ground and pound. A lot of wrestlers do get afraid to give up position by posturing up and letting their opponent try to work out, but he's good in the scrambles, so he's not super worried about letting that opponent move because he can scramble to a better position. Now, decent striking, but it's basically just volume, because he's not a power puncher whatsoever. You let him land enough shots, it's gonna hurt you, but he's more of just a volume guy, and he's really looking for those takedowns. So it's just 1-2, 1-2, takedown, 1-2, takedown, whatever. He's mixing that in various patterns, basically. So that's what we got, Hunter Azure in a nutshell. And let me know what you think. Is he your pick for the season? I will see you in the next fighter breakdown. Bantamweight to take a look at is Trevor Wells. He is 8-3 on the career, 4-1 in the last 5. He's a 27-year-old who is 5'7", and I could not find a reliable reach for him. Wasn't on like Tapology, ShareDog, any of those things. And then the reaches you would see when it would list in the like regional promotion, fight tail of the tapes or whatever, are kind of not accurate usually, and they're kind of all over the place. So anyway, don't have an accurate reach for him, but solid wrestling. He's got solid takedowns, and he's going to try to grind out wins using that minute winning when he gets on top of fighters. That's what he does. That's what he does very well, and he is good at it. Now, in the striking, it's all right. He's decent, but he does have some good boxing combinations. I do like that. The thing that scares me a little, and this may be beneficial for this show particularly, but not overall, is that he switches between bantamweight and flyweight. So he's going to be one of the smaller fighters in the house. So making weight's probably not going to be a problem for him because he can make 125. Obviously not without a problem because he's fought quite a few in there. But also, he's going to be smaller than a lot of guys. So he won't have that nasty weight cut all the time, which is nice. But then again, he's going to be getting bullied around by some of the bigger fighters. So is that a big disadvantage or is it an advantage? I don't know. You guys tell me. Let me know what you guys think. Is it an advantage to not have to cut as much weight on a show like The Ultimate Fighter? Or is he going to kind of get out-muscled by some of the bigger guys? Let me know what you think. Do you think Trevor Wells is your pick? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear who you have to win the season. And without any more waste of time, let's go ahead and get into mine. We made it all the way to the top. We've checked out every bantamweight on this season of The Ultimate Fighter so far. unless we have any replacements or anything like that. But what do you guys think? Who is your pick? Before I give you my pick, who is your pick? Let me know in the comments. And please do me a favor, like this video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you do enjoy my content, please do so. I'm trying to make it to 1,000. I don't know if you guys know, but at 1,000 subscribers with 4,000 hours of watch time, which I've already done, content creators can start getting ad revenue because the ads are going to play on my videos anyway. So I just want a few cents per ad. That's it. That's all they give me is a few cents per ad. So if you haven't subscribed and you're sitting there just kind of wondering, yeah, why do I need to subscribe? Because it helps me out. And I just want that couple of cents I get every time those stupid ads play on my video, because they're going to play regardless. So please help me out with that. I appreciate it very much. But my pick for the TUF 31 Bantamweight winner, Timor Valley. And I assume a lot of you are probably going to be on the same page. I think he just has the best experience overall. I think the guy's aggressive style is going to do him well. And the fact that he has that slight language barrier, I feel like he's not going to get caught up in any of the shenanigans in the same way that some of the other guys are. It's just what happens in the Ultimate Fighter, where guys kind of get caught up in different, different beefs and things like that. I feel like the language barrier is going to kind of keep him out. Yes, he speaks English, but I feel like it's not where he's just having, back and forth like, riz-raz, messing with each other, kind of, goofing around. I feel like he's going to be a little more straight-laced, sticking to himself, kind of doing his thing, just focusing on getting the win. And I think that's going to help him out a lot in this season of The Ultimate Fighter. So for me, the pick is Timor Valley. Like I said, let me know what you've got and like this video. I thank you so much for watching. See you next time.